afternoon. He's at it again. Trump, he's at it again. We'll cover this in a minute, what's going on. But afternoon, Ryan, Church, Fletch, David, thank you very much for the $10. Happy Friday to you too. That's a nice start, isn't it? $10 straight in. Let's go. Thank you, David. Very much appreciated. With the $10 that you gave me on Wednesday, that'll be 2 pints this week. 2. We're going to have a knockout weekend. It is a bank holiday. So yeah, thank you very much. Looks like you're right about the S&P short. Don't know. Could be. It's difficult to tell at the moment because this has been caused by Trump. But yes, this was the short. I called it. I said, didn't I? I've said for the last 2 days, this is a pullback in a bear leg. But, I mean, yesterday was a pretty good confirmation anyway, wasn't it? So, well, the day before, actually, Wednesday was a good confirmation. So this is where we were looking at it on Monday. And then that confirmation came in. We broke the low of the week. We paused. This move today, though, is caused by Trump's tariffs. So it's not necessarily just normal market price action. This is fear setting in. So we'll have to wait and see. I mean, the market's got to move for some reason, hasn't it? So, so just quickly looking at what's happened for those that don't know, for the people that have messaged me saying, what the hell was that move? And every time they say that, I say, have you heard of financial juice? So basically, Trump has come out with 2 new tariffs, 2 in one day with no warning. So this morning we had virtually no news. We had the CPI for the pound, which obviously not CPI, retail figures for the pound. Very positive, a lot more positive than expected, although the pound hasn't had a massive move. It has moved up, though. So this has all been skewed by what Trump's done anyway, but bullish pound move. Retail sales for the CAD. CAD came out as mixed. So the core was down a lot more than expected. The standard retail was up more than expected. So overall, it's negative-ish for the CAD. But obviously what's happened after that is Trump's come out and looking at putting tariffs on Apple. So basically anything that is iPhones not made in the US, all of them, I don't know where they're made, but I'm assuming overseas in China because that's where everything's made. Tariffs of at least 25% if phones are not made in the US. So basically what he's saying is, Apple, move all your manufacturing to the US, or I'm going to put the prices of all of your products up by 25%. Android are sitting there and Google going, but they also manufacture overseas, so they're next. But anyway, so that's happened. And then he came out with this. This is the big one. EU has been very difficult to deal with. The EU came forward this week with a proposal. Not difficult, is it? They sat down, they wrote out a proposal and said, Dear Donald, this is why we would like to talk about. Can we start discussions, please? He's obviously read that and go, screw you, your hard work. Put 50% tariffs straight on them starting next week. So as it stands today, June the 1st, 50% tariffs on European Union. That's the second highest tariffs he's announced so far, bigger than the Canadian ones initially. So not as big as the Chinese, but obviously he's removed those. So now we've got new tariffs coming in. This is going to massively affect everything. It's going to affect the car dealerships. It's going to affect car manufacturers. It's going to affect commodities. It's going to affect everything, basically. So this is a huge one. But whether or not he's reversing on this in the next week, probably. But this is basically a shot across the bow for Europe. Europe have got a much bigger tariff retaliation package planned, ready to go at the press of a button. So I think this is potentially Trump going, go on then, show us what you've got. Which I don't know what it is, but EU have come out already immediately and said, we've got a plan. So this is the stage 2 trade war. Bye-bye stock markets. But anyway, traders add to ECB rate cuts. Favour 3 more rate cuts now in 2025. Not quite sure how that's going to affect interest rates, but we'll see. Boost bets on ECB rate cuts, deposit 1.6 in December, blah, blah, blah. So they're basically saying, yeah, we're going to be dropping those rates. Immediately, the Fed came out, literally within, what was that? Within an hour, the Fed have come out and said a 50% EU tariff is an order of magnitude different from the current situation, stating the obvious. Tariff rates that high would be scary for the supply chain, i.e. Trump. What the hell are you doing? This is not how you deal with business, and you are screwing everybody in the US even more. So the people with their heads screwed on that work in finance and know about economics coming out and saying, well, everyone else on the planet in finance and economics is thinking, you're an idiot, tariffs don't work, you're just going to screw the American people. But that's his problem, his choice. So, yeah, there we go. Rate cuts are still possible over 10 to 16 month horizon. Yeah, see how far away this is getting now? We were going to be dropping by 1% potentially this year. Now we're looking at a year. We might be able to maybe drop by another 0.25%. This is not good for the US. Really not good. But anyway, it can all be undone with one word, which is 90-day pause. So anyway, so that's what's happened this morning. So obviously, stock market collapse. So this afternoon, I have disabled the S&P 500. I've made $2,000 this morning on the drops. So I've disabled the S&P because I do not want to over leverage. The S&P and the NASDAQ are going to do pretty much the same thing. As you can see, they are almost identical, pretty much are identical. So there's no point in trading both of these at the moment today, especially on a move with high volatility like this. So this is either going to undo this morning, or the market is going to say, Jesus, we need to get out some more stocks and this thing's going to collapse. So I'm just hedging basically my bets on it and dropping one index down because I don't want to over leverage. If this is potentially going to turn into one of these, like, holy crap, what do we do now? Let's wait until Monday jobs. We're just going to go into rotation today. So I don't want to get chopped to pieces on 3 indices. Nice profit made this morning, obviously. So NASDAQ's broken long. S&P would have broken long if you were in it. The Dow also broken long. So we're looking basically for a push back up on this to try and undo this move. But we'll have to wait and see where the market wants to take it this morning. So, yeah, very, very big moves, obviously, as you can see. So ADR at the moment is sitting at sort of 588. The move that we've just put in there is 598. So this move here is 1 ADR in 30 minutes. Yeah, it's a huge, huge, huge drop. It does look like it's rejecting straight out the bat. So yeah, we'll see what happens today, but we'll keep our eyes peeled on this. FX wise, obviously, FX markets, same thing. We've had lots and lots of movement today. Aussie New Zealand is down. There's a big whipsaw just going on the Aussie US. So anything US based. Swiss franc and yen pushing up ever so slightly. We've had some big whipsawing there on the euro. Yeah. So I've got Euro CAD short on at the moment, which is in profit. Target is literally ADR today, so I could well hit that today. But there's 3/4 of an ADR whipsaw on that when the news came out. Euro Swiss, huge collapse. So if you look at the Swiss franc pairs, massive move. So obviously we know Swiss franc is a safe haven. When there are fear and times of trouble, we buy the Swiss franc. So everything is dropped against the Swiss franc. So if you look at something like the Euro Swiss, that's going to have the biggest move of the day, 150 ADR, because the Euro's dropped and they've sold the Euro and bought the Swiss. Therefore, the Euro Swiss has been the fastest move of the day. Pound US dollar, big rally on the pound off of the news this morning. I say big rally, it's 3/4 of an ADR roughly. We got out of it, not a lot, but obviously with this US dollar now, potentially we could see some weakness come in today, but we'll have to wait and see what the market makes of this. Oil dropped, but with all these things with Trump, yeah, it's an immediate knee-jerk reaction, and a lot of the time it gets reversed because he said that I'm going to put 25% tariffs on everything Apple if you don't make them in the US. So Apple can now turn around within the next week and go, that's fine, Donald. So it's not really news, is it? EU, you're going to get 50% tariffs at the end of next week unless we start talking about stuff. So these moves will all just get completely undone. 90% of these moves that happen as a knee-jerk reaction when Trump opens his mouth are mean reverted 100% within either a day or 2 days, because it's buy the rumor, sell the news, whichever way you want to do it. It's basically nothing's been signed. He's threatening 50% tariffs. You can threaten all you like until you sign a piece of paper. It's not happening. Yeah, so it's just words at the minute. So we'll see. Market will either go into fear and panic mode or it won't. So US session obviously opening is going to potentially determine that. Does look at the moment as you flick through like it's all mean reverting already. Yeah. Pound coming down against the Canadian there. Canadian dollar looks like it's strengthening up. Yes, strength on the CAD. New Zealand CAD coming down. So there's a lovely ADR reversal there. 3-bar reversal. US dollar CAD has just hit ADR. There we go. So US dollar down, Canadian up. US dollar down, obviously. I mean, none of this is good for the US. Nothing that he says is making America great in any way, shape, or form. Go figure. Make your slogan, make America great again. Come in, destroy the American economy. And obviously, there's a lot of Americans in here today. Are you going to vote for him next time? I know he can't have a next time, but then again, you can't have a time when you're a felon anyway. But somehow he got around that rule. So let's just assume he is going to run again. Do you want him to do this again, or would you rather him not do this? Just asking. Because if someone did this in the UK, they'd be booted out. But anyway. Right. So FX wise, I've got quite a lot of exposure on at the moment. I've got some which is coming to fruition today. So I'm going to bank something today. Finally, it's been one of those weeks where it's just gone sideways all week and I haven't banked anything, but we are starting some moves now. Right. So Dow holding on a bull move at the moment, as the S&P is. NASDAQ also holding on a bull move. The trouble with these trades today, we've got very, very, very wide ranges in. That 5-minute initial candle today, huge. So almost 40% of ADR. So the stop losses today are really tight, which is going to stop out, which is dangerous because obviously any kind of pullback continuation move quite often will catch you out. So we'll see. Not quite getting stopped out there, but a big sell order coming in, isn't it? We'll see where we go. This could go absolutely anywhere today. So, who knows? Looks like you're right. Hello, afternoon, Mumo. Afternoon, Peter, Virginia, Ro. How are we doing? So we'll just watch this for a minute. If you've got any FX pairs you want to look at, let me know. The plan this afternoon was to kind of whiz through all the FX pairs and do a little analysis of what's gone on this week, but it all changed today. So doesn't seem much point. And this is the way that trading is now. I've said it before in the live room since Trump got in. If you haven't traded through a Trump presidency, this is what it is. Yeah. So fundamentals out the window. Every other news event out the window. Interest rates, CPI, irrelevant. Trump opens his mouth. Boom. This is how it works now. So good luck, pattern traders, trading your Elliott waves and your harmonic patterns and things, because there is no harmony for the next 4 years. This is what moves. So we sit around waiting for Trump to open his mouth. He opens his mouth, we move somewhere. Then we sit around waiting for Trump to open his mouth. He opens his mouth, and we move somewhere. That's basically what happens. And then he says something, and then we realize it's a load of rubbish. And it does that all the time. Yeah. So mean reversion is probably the thing you want to be trading for the next 4 years, because, well, it's always the thing you want to be trading. But at the moment, any extensions on RSI, you shouldn't have a problem with them, because that's pretty much all he's going to do. Is he's going to spike in one direction and then fly back the other way. But we'll see. EuroCAD attempting low of the day. We got Friday's low here. Sorry, Thursday's low. If we break Thursday's low, we'll be flushing to ADR. So we should get a TP on that. Where are we? 113. Oh, I've got quite a way to go to get that. Yeah, I've got to get down into that propulsion gap to close the whole position out. But So if you've got any pairs you want to look at, let me know. Stopped out on the NASDAQ. Dow is currently inside bar. Three minutes left, but Dow's not pulling down quite as much as the NAS. Two more candles and then the 30-minute range is going to go in. So if we do stop out on this Dow within the next 10 minutes, there will be a 30-minute long available. A lot of volume coming in, but no direction, is there? It'll be a tricky one today, I think. Sit around and wait, and that's going to stop out that Dow. It's bearish engulfing. I think we're going down. Well, I think we're going to go either like that or we are going to reverse, but we'll see. Difficult to tell. So looking at ADRs and everything today, there's not really much point in going through the ADRs in any detail today because obviously everything is skewed with what Trump's just done. So Aussie New Zealand, we've just dropped straight into the low of the week, which was the low at the swap, which wasn't really. It's a swap there, but the Aussie New Zealand, so this is the low of the previous week. Although that is kind of a broker candle, so it's a little bit of a, I mean, it has respected it twice to the pip pretty much, but it's this previous low here. So that's obviously a good place to buy from at the moment. If this is going to pull back, you're looking for a pullback into there somewhere in a continuation short. The Euro Swiss, obviously, that is the biggest move down of the day. Not a lot you can really. Just missed my next long look. Didn't close down below there, but so Euro Swiss has come straight into the 2-week low, which is this area here, and we bought straight back out of that. But again, this is probably just a pullback continuation happening, so be careful if you're trying to ADR reverse these today. Euro Pound has also hit to the downside, so that's a 100% ADR. Again, these have all kind of pulled off of the ADR levels they've got to, but you're not going to get reversal alerts on many of these. So it's hard to get into. When you get a parabolic move like this, it's very hard to get into them because you've literally just got to press the buy button. You're not going to get any bullish price action to get you in because it's just moving too fast. So there's your reversal alert, look, that signaled there. But you can see that's pretty much half an ADR of price action. So you missed half an ADR of movement just before you get into the thing. So these ADRs today are not really ones you can trade because they're all going to be caused by that Trump move. Reversal alert on this one, it doesn't go in until you break that high, which is miles away. Pound Swiss, again, can't get into it. If you're using price action, obviously, you could have taken that, but I mean, it's just one candlestick. It's just dangerous taking that sort of trade. Pound US, that one is obviously come off the highs. So there's a reversal. That's not a bad entry. But, you know, this afternoon I'd just leave it because you don't know whether this US dollar is going to collapse or, I mean, if it collapses, we could see 200 ADR, can we, on it? New Zealand dollar CAD. Don't forget, he's only just woken up. Got the rest of the day yet. So you could say plenty more. New Zealand CAD, that was a lovely tight one. Look, this is before the Trump announcement. So that was a beautiful M pattern reversal drop. That's been helped along by the retail figures for the CAD. New Zealand US also extended. So again, reversal alert and retest triggered on that one. So there's your retest. Potentially that's a good short. But again, you're assuming that the US dollar is going to power up. Be very careful with that in a minute. There we go. Huge collapse down on that dollar, still dropping. Look. So there's your ADR gone. I'd leave that alone for the minute. Canadians rallying at the moment. US dollar, yen. So that's a good ADR reversal there. You've got some confluence with a 2-week low. That's 1 week. 2 week. That's your 2-week low. Lovely drop there as well. So there's a good chance we're going to pull back off of this and get some kind of bounce out up into propulsion. So but again, you're going to need a strong US dollar. And bear in mind, if the dollar is going to drop and they are going to pull money out the stock market, they're going to buy the yen and they're going to buy the Swiss. So that's the direction if they go to safe haven. So, today is, I would just write off. Best place for your money today is in the pub. And that's where I should be going. RSIs, you had no RSIs. You've got 2 extensions now. Pound US dollar. So that's extended to the upside. Yeah, on the hourly. That is also extended to the upside on the 4. You've almost got an 80 extension on that now. So with this one, we've just basically had a push, accumulation, push, accumulation, push. Absolutely ripe for a pullback. This one back into this high or potentially back into that high there. So we've got 2 really good targets to the downside on this. Again, dollar, we're going to need some strength in the dollar. So Trump's got to come out and say something positive, which at the moment, obviously, he's not. US dollar CAD, that is also a 4-hour RSI extension. You are just approaching monthly levels and weekly levels. So you've got this level here, which is your last month's low, followed by the 3-week low, followed by the 2-week low. All of those lows are within kind of third of an ADR, and that's where you're hitting at the moment. So we know there's buyers here. Yeah. So we hit this level, we rebought that. We came back down, we tried again, we rebought it. We came back down, we tried again, we rebought it, we rejected it, we broke structure to the upside. We were on our way, sitting around, and then we had the drop this week, and obviously now looks like a continuation. So if that breaks that low, you haven't really got anywhere to go until you come down to here, or even double bottom. So there's plenty of drop. You're looking at roughly 250 ADR, 300 ADR drop to the downside. So this is a very ugly sort of kind of a 40%-ish pullback, isn't it? Not really a pullback. It's straight into propulsion, which was the break of that low, and then they resold that straight away. So I wouldn't be looking particularly to buy that at the moment. Obviously, you've got a nice divergence at the moment. So we've got bullish divergence at the moment. So there's a lot of signals there to buy this. But technical analysis, fundamental analysis means absolutely nothing when Trump's opened his mouth and said that, hey, America, everything you get from Europe, BMWs, Porsches, Ferraris, Mercedes, Volkswagen, Audi, pretty much anything you drive on the road that isn't American made, has just gone up by 50%. Are you okay with that? Not good. But as I say, it hasn't happened yet. He said it, he hasn't done it. So wait and see. Get your eyes peeled on this, because this could be the first announcement of the day. Right, we're holding the Dow. So the Dow is holding out the propulsion move at the open. The S&P is also holding, which means that the NASDAQ is also holding. Not as convincingly, though. So the propulsion gap is filled. We've just got an inside bar on the pullback. So it's almost like a stuttering car today, isn't it? It feels like it wants to do this, but I don't think there's any interest today. Moment. Afternoon, electrician. Afternoon, Sam. Could you check US dollar Swiss? Well, the FTSE I can check. What do you want checked to the FTSE? I mean, the FTSE's done. FTSE's dropped. Straight down into support, look. Again, you can't really, you don't trade the FTSE in the afternoon. The FTSE is for the morning, isn't it? You're not going to get any volume on that. US dollar Swiss, you're going to get sector purchase volume. That's all on the FTSE. So likely to get, well, it's going to follow whatever the other indices do today, the other US indices. US dollar Swiss, obviously, we just looked at this. You're down at the lows at the minute. So this basic break here above these highs, we tested that area over and over and over and over and over and over. So this propulsion gap here was where they were buying, and they finally broke out the range to the upside. Again, Trump, fundamentals, something like that. So we're just coming down to retest this area. So this is basically balance, price discovery, failure, back into balance. Typically, you'll do a downside price discovery move next and come and test this low. But this is a tricky one to trade because you've got a weak US dollar. And if there is any more announcements or the market does decide we're just going to steer clear of greed at the moment and go into fear mode, they're going to buy the Swiss franc. So the pressures on this are weak US dollar, strong Swiss franc, which is a down and a down, isn't it? So there's going to be a lot of downward pressure on this now, potentially. So yeah, it looks like a long, technically, by the lows. However, you've also got a little bit of bullish divergence again on this one, creeping in. So it's ever so slightly bullish. Not very textbook bullish, but it is. But you know, we've had this conversation pretty much every day in the live room for the last 2 weeks. Is the dollar going to be bullish? Can't see any reason for the world to buy the dollar at the moment. I can see many reasons to abandon it. But I can't see any reason to buy it now, fundamentally. Doesn't mean it's going to get dramatically weak. It just means there's no reason for it to strengthen. But there is just, you know, don't forget, this is the dollar. This is the US. It's still the biggest, pretty much the biggest currency on the planet, isn't it? Still at the moment. So, you know, you can't write it off completely, but, you know, this is potentially the direction of travel until, you know, the US stops blackmailing the rest of the world. Yeah, the rest of the world's got other options. This is what everybody in finance knows and sees apart from Trump. The rest of the world has options. Yeah, stick 50% on European imports, and what are the Europeans going to do? Sell it to someone else. So who loses? America. You know, it's like we can't manufacture European cars in America, Trump. If that's what you want, tough. And if you don't want to buy European cars, that's fine. Let the American people decide what they want to buy. But right now they do, because there's a lot of them sold there. Yeah, we do 20% of the UK. We do 20% of our trade in the US. Yeah, and that's through choice of US people, not through us forcing anything over there. So you just cut that off. It's not a problem. We'll still sell stuff. We'll just sell it somewhere else. And we'll just put the price of stuff up that you send over, because we don't want that. We don't need it. This is why they don't win. Trade wars do not work. They never have done. Tariffs do not work. They never have done. And as soon as you open the word tariff, open your mouth, use the word tariff, the market reacts negatively because they know that it doesn't work. EuroCAD ADR. I'm just going to watch that. I'm going to close some of that off. I've got TP in place, actually. So that's feeding data somewhere. There's an argument for getting out of the whole thing, to be honest. I've got one in profit. I'm going to close that. I'm just going to bank that one, which banks 0.3% for the day. Because I can put that back on again. FTSE pushing up, S&P trying to. Dow's back out into profit. Nasdaq. Okay, so there's your 30-minute range gone in. So the 6-bar range, which the 30-minute range is in. It is struggling though. Finding it hard to find any reason to buy, aren't we? I was wondering Trump tweet was just a shakeout. Shakeout. I don't know. You got you know you don't. Well, I don't know. Who knows what Trump's doing? Yeah. He knows that every time he opens his mouth and says the word tariffs and attaches a percentage to it attached to a country, the stock market will collapse. Yeah. So if you're in a position like that where you can basically write a post, press a button, press another button, wait for that to drop, then press the other button to take the profit on it, what would you do? Doesn't make it doesn't take a rocket scientist to work out that when you're in charge of manipulating the markets, you can make a lot of money. Best job in the world, being the president of America. Most financially lucrative. Is trading the 7 pairs you mentioned in the morning still delivering an average 10%? I've no idea. Haven't had a month yet. It won't. I don't know. Don't know what it will deliver. So far this month, I'm up 3.4. So I don't know what I'm going to end on. Every month is different. So this month, I've done 3.4% on a market that hasn't moved. So when we start moving, obviously, there's going to be more opportunity to make money. But you can see by the P&L, yeah, there's many days going past where I'm not banking anything. You can't bank when the market does this. Yeah, the way you make money as a trader is the market moving from A to B. When the market just stays in the middle, it's very hard to extract money from it. So, this month has been like pulling teeth. So I'm not surprised. Even if I was trading all 28 pairs, yes, I would have made more money on it, but I would also be in more drawdown. So I'll have made maybe 6 to 8%, but I would be sitting in somewhere around about 3 or 4% drawdown because I'd be overexposed on, or more exposed to each currency, which means I'll have more drawdown. But I'll also have more profit. So I would have banked 0.6% in 4% of drawdown. So it's all relative, isn't it? If you're going to trade less pairs, your other option is to increase your risk. So instead of going in with a 0.25 risk on your initial trades or a 0.2, go in with a 0.3. But bear in mind your drawdown will be 50% larger. If you start with 0.2% ADR over an ADR as your initial risk, you'll have X drawdown. If you go in with 0.3, you'll have 50% more drawdown, but you'll also make 50% more profit. Yeah, so it's relative. Everything's relative, isn't it, to what your risk is. That's why he didn't accept the president's salary, yeah. I bet there's some loophole somewhere where he's looked at the contract to be president when he knows he's been there before, hasn't he? And there's a clause somewhere in it that says you are not allowed, as president of the United States, being paid a salary to manipulate the market through any means such as XYZ. And he's gone and read that and he's gone, well, I won't take a salary then. They turn around and go, hey, you just manipulated the market. So yeah, but it says in my contract, only if I take a salary. I'm not taking a salary. And then the American people will sit around and go, oh, he's just made 25 billion because he didn't take 100,000 salary or whatever the salary is. I've no idea. What is the president's salary? I know in the UK it's like, was it 125 or something? Normal politicians get paid about 60, 70 grand or something, don't they? I think the prime minister only gets like 50% more or something silly. Yeah. So you're running the entire country and they give you what? 50% pay rise. think I want a little bit more than that. Anyway, I don't know. Anytime you can make profit is a good day. Yep, of course. I'm getting ready to call this today because I was up $2,000 this morning and I'm now 360 lighter. So if I can get this back to 360, I might just call it a day because I'm really not sure where these markets are going to go today. It's a really difficult call. I mean, it does look like it obviously wants to go bull, which means that we're going to just undo this move. But what happens when we undo it? Where is it going next? It's really uncertain when you've got this type of movement as to what you should be doing. I'm glad I reduced risk though, because obviously that would have been a double stop out on the S&P. Nasdaq's going to trigger long again in a minute. Just wondering whether I actually want to take it. So we got this low from yesterday coming up, which is potentially an area of interest for sellers. So any orders that were sitting as limits will have been immediately run over and flipped. So there's a chance that we might hit some sellers there. Something's just triggered. US dollar CAD 125 ADR. So dollar coming down further again. That's bullish for the indices. 125 ADR. So we're just coming into the monthly low. And this triple low here. So this whole area from 100 down to kind of 150 ADR today is a really good support level. So anything from 150 ADR to exactly where we are now, that quarter of an ADR sort of spot is where the market was buying up previously over and over and over again. But I mean, do you really want to stand in front? 125 weekly range now in on the US dollar CAD. Do you really want to stand in front of this steam train at the minute? See if we get a reaction here. If you get a reaction here, then bearing in mind it's Friday afternoon, market might just sort of peter out and get into a profitable position, which you could maybe hold into next week. But I want to see some real confirmation of some balls stepping in here, somewhere between there and 150. But don't think we're getting them at the minute. A very volatile day so far, it is. That's what we like there. Volatility makes money. NASDAQ haven't quite triggered on. I'm just waiting to see what happens with this Dow as to whether I actually want to trade this NAS. What I might do, if this NAS breaks and we get a little bit of a pop on it, the Dow will pop with it. I'm just going to move this over here for a minute just so I can watch both. Because what I might do is just when I get to if I can get back up to sort of $400, $500, I'll probably just shut the whole lot out for the afternoon. So if the NAS can get a quick pop, that will help the Dow on its way. Both of those moving together should get me up to a decent profit, which means I get back that loss and then obviously bank a little bit on top. Need a pop. 10 past 3, so we've had the hourly candle. Pop is coming, I think. Maybe. Wait and see. Don't forget it's Friday afternoon. So Friday afternoons quite often are fairly low liquidity sometimes. And obviously we've had all the liquidity put in on the downward move. So there's a chance that a lot of the deals for the day are done, and a lot of them will be sitting there going, we'll just leave it and then we'll come back Monday. So we may not get, we might just get a rotation for the rest of the afternoon, but we'll see. It's early days, don't forget. The market's only been open for 40 minutes. Okay, long NASDAQ. There's the pop. Okay, closing the Dow. If that pulls back to break even, I'm shutting it. So I'm done for the day on 2070. Unless this pops. So this is the break point. So that's yesterday's low. So any buyers here have been run over. So when we get back here, they will either add to their shorts, which they flipped into, or they will exit their longs, which they've been in drawdown on, which will equally will both be sell orders. It's toying with me, the NASDAQ. So Dow, we got a load of rejection wicks going in. Look. Buyers are finding it very difficult to make progress. Make your mind up. Someone is staring at me from behind. That's Mr. Wig. Can't see, can you? Oh, you can see that one, yeah. That's John Wick's behind me. You can't see him, but he's there. Mr. Wig. Looks like you're trading both RSI and ADR together. No, just RSI. I watch everything. Okay, so we've blown through on the US dollar CAD. So that is your last week's low. Sorry, 2-week low. Sorry, 3-week low. We're at the 3-week low. We've just bypassed the monthly low, and this is the 2-week low. If that 2-week low goes, there's nothing stopping it. So if we get that pop through the lows there, because the buyers are getting overwhelmed, and they are certainly getting overwhelmed at the minute, I think there's a lot of downside on this US dollar, which indicates potentially there is a bull move on the cards for the indices this afternoon. But we'll see. They're not really working in opposite push and pull at the moment as they normally do, but we'll see. I'm not going to let this go into drawdown, this NASDAQ. So it's either going to go from here and we're going to put a propulsion gap in. So there's your high of the previous candle. Yeah, it's going. There's no point in taking a loss on the trade. I'm just going to break even if we start to drop any further. So we're either going to put a propulsion gap in and hold this level and then go from here, or we're going to pull back. So I'm not going to take a pullback on it because I want to be done for the day, basically. Done. So back to break even, flat. There we go. $2,000 done. So yeah, didn't make any money this afternoon, but thanks to Trump, made some money this morning. S&P, so you've just broken the TPO there, your 30-minute high. So that's your 30-minute initial range. So it's a failed breakout on that at the moment, which obviously is this propulsion move. You know, the market, if there are sellers now in the market because of what Trump said and they're not buying stocks, they're selling them. This is your initial move. This is where they started to sell off. This is where they will sell more. So this is the area of trade at the minute. So there's a good chance that you could put that leg in. I'm just going to cancel off this pending short. I don't want to take a short. There's no point in pushing this market today. So I'm flat, no pending orders. Let me just turn the S&P back on so that I remember for Monday. So Dow Jones cancelling that short pending as well. So I don't want to take a short because I'm not going to be here. I'm not going to watch this all afternoon. There we go, done for the day. So far, good month. Best week so far this month. Solid profit this week, which is good. There we go. So we've come off that 3-week low. So just pulling back slightly off of that at the minute. So we are starting to pull back on some of these, but obviously if these moves are all going to continue because of this move, that's come so perfectly off of that low. Look at that. To the pip. So if that, obviously it's putting in lower highs and lower lows, so we are back in bearish market structure. But these pullbacks, basically, if this is the new move that we're going to start now because of what he said, then we'll just get continuations on these next week. So I'm just going to leave all these running. Depending on where we are at the end of the day, I might close some more of these out, but obviously I'll probably hold all this over into next week and hope we get a continuation short or continuation whichever direction. So the only new trade I've entered today was the Euro Swiss, which I think I posted in Discord. Not Euro Swiss, sorry. It was Aussie US. So I took a short on the Aussie US. Literally, it took this short on the Aussie US off of this double top. So that's my entry there. But that was, as soon as I hit the button, that news had come in and it started that. So that was kind of a bit of luck, obviously. Perfect entry, but it wasn't a perfect entry. It's just because of Trump. So we're retesting that level now. So next trade entry on that one, if we do get some strength in the US, is going to be up at that weekly. So that 2-week high there will be my next entry, which is 3/4 of an ADR. And then I'm going to assume that we're going to hopefully just hold this range for a bit. But we'll wait and see what Trump says, see what Trump does next. But right now, he's upset everybody again. There we go, pulling back off the highs on the S&P. NASDAQ's pulling back. Dow also pulling back. So I think might have a rangy one for the rest of the day. Right, I'll leave it there. Obviously, Monday's a bank holiday. So not in on Monday morning and not in Monday afternoon, off all day. So I'm back on Wednesday next week, which is member stream in the morning. And then in the afternoon, we'll obviously trade, as usual, US, Dow, NASDAQ and S&P. Next week's news, look at that. We're up in agreed. That's where we're going to be on Monday. Obviously, depending on what he says, but he might change his mind. There's nothing obviously happening on Monday. Next week's a bit of a light week for news. Tuesday, we've got very little news. We've got SNB. There is a chance that Schlegel might come out and confirm zero interest rates, which will be negative Swiss. However, with what's just happened, if we are going to get a safe haven run, they probably won't say that because they just want to attract money into this franc. So that's really all you're going to get on Tuesday, potentially. Aussie dollar CPI. Obviously, we've just had the interest rate change on the Aussie. So obviously this week we dropped the rates to 3.85. So that CPI number year on year, I suspect is probably going to come out on target. So I doubt that will do much, but it might do. New Zealand dollar are then changing their rates on Wednesday. So that's the main news of the week. Press conference, obviously, after that is what's going to move it. Then we've got FOMC. It's not an interest rate decision. It's just the meeting minutes. So typically not, the Fed have already come out and said there's no hope of dropping interest rates while these trade wars are going on. So there's nothing in the meeting minutes that's going to shock us, is there? So I doubt we'll get any movement off of that. Bank holiday, Euro and Swiss on a Thursday. Then we've got GDP for the US. And then we've got the German CPI and GDP for the CAD and PCE. So it's all like the red news next week is all low tier apart from the interest rates. So, and obviously CPI, but we've just had interest rates on that. So I doubt that'll be impacted. So really that's all we've got next week. There's not a lot of news. So again, I think we're probably going to have one of those weeks where we're kind of just rotating about. However, obviously, as we've seen today, it's all down to Mr. Orange and what he decides to say, isn't it? So there's very high probability that we're going to get some snapback from the euro now. Don't forget, the Europeans haven't said anything now. They've just had a threat of 50% slapped on them. There's no response. So the European response could either completely correct this move or it could make it a hell of a lot worse. So if they come out with their tariff bomb, which they've said about and not told us exactly what it is, but they've got it prepared. If they come out with that and slap that straight on America, and kiss the dollar goodbye. So, or potentially you could kiss the euro goodbye. Depends what it is. We don't know. So yeah, just be a little careful. Keep the risk light. Keep the exposure light as you can. Because if we are going to get some of these huge moves coming in on these tariff corrections and stuff, you don't want to be over leveraged because it's going to hurt. So keep it small. Even small positions in big moves can make a lot of money. So better off being small and surviving than trying to make £1 million while Trump's deciding which way the market goes. So have a good weekend. This is not going to stop going, is it? All afternoon. I'm going to turn this off. Pound New Zealand, ADR. Oh, blimey. That's New Zealand dollar strength coming in. Big strong move on the New Zealand dollar. Huge buy on the New Zealand dollar just come in. Just don't know what that is. There's no news on it, so it's just basically buying the New Zealand dollar at the minute. Good, I'm long. That's fine. So just keep your eyes peeled on financial juice and obviously keep it tight as you can. Have a good weekend. Enjoy the bank holiday, and I'll be back on Wednesday. If you need me, I'll be in Discord or in Telegram. So have a good one.